Hey guys, what's up? It's Hans, and this is my Akali combo guide. I just want to get a couple disclaimers out of the way real quick. One, I'm just your average Gold 4 player, so I'm not going to try to tell you how to play the game or anything like that, but I do feel like I understand her combos pretty well, so I'll show you those. Number two, I'll show a couple clips of different combos in-game, but they're going to be not the best quality because when I reinstalled plays, I had some storage issues, so the quality was set to 720p instead of 1080p, so I apologize for that. And then third, just real quick for absolute beginners, this is my normal rune page and a normal build. You can build almost anything on Akali and it works. But I take Electrocute, Sudden Impact, Eyeball Collection, Zombie Ward and Ghost Boar are also fine here. Ultimate Hunter, and this is just preference. You can also take Ravenous Hunter or Relentless Hunter for that matter. And then I play aggressive in lane, so I choose So first up is our level 1 combo. It's simply Q, back up to get your passive auto attack, and then Q again, and this will proc Electrocute, and it looks like this.
The old ways just
You want to do this against lanes that either have a weak level 1 or can't kite you. A lot of the time this means melee matchups. I would not recommend doing this into somebody like an Ahri or a Lissandra that can just kite backwards, and if you don't proc that Electrocute, you're going to lose a lot of HP, and then the lane's going to be in a bad spot. If you do this trade, you're probably going to take damage in return, but don't be afraid to pop a pot, because if you start Dark Seal 3, you'll end up at a pot advantage because they'll also probably pop pots as well. Now for our level 2 combo, 90% of games I take W second. The only time that I'd ever take E second is if I got 2 of those Q auto Q trades off at level 1. And I feel like if I hit my E, I have enough damage to kill. But W is way safer. You can still combo at level 2 with W, and it also makes you way safer in ganks and stuff like that. So this combo, it's going to look a lot like our level 1 combo. We're going to Q and then W for the movement speed, get our passive auto, and Q again for Electrocute. That looks like this. And then obviously you can keep going through that Q passive auto trade as much as you want, and you can look to flash and ignite. Getting kills at level 2 or level 3 into good matchups is not super uncommon. So from level 3 up until you get your R, there's tons of different combos you can do, and the real trick to learning Akali is just playing enough games to figure out which combo makes sense when. But a basic level 3 combo is just E, push E2 again, passive auto attack, Q, auto Q, and you can toss your W in there anywhere for the movement speed and stuff like that. But that'll do a lot of damage up until level 5. Something else you can do is either prep your Shroud, or more often I'll prep a minion, and I'll show a couple clips of this because you can't really mimic it in Practice Tool. But you can put your E on a caster minion if you're playing somebody against somebody like an Ahri or a Lux that just wants to sit behind their minion. So now for our level 6 and beyond combos. In my opinion, there's two different basic kinds of level 6 combos, and that is all-ins where you're focusing on hitting your E right away, and then all-ins where you're not prioritizing hitting your E early. If you're playing against somebody, like a Zed or a LeBlanc that has a dash, typically long range dash, you want to hit your E right after you engage with your R1 so that you're able to follow their movement spells. But if you're playing against somebody super mobile, like maybe a Twisted Fate, sometimes it makes more sense to just keep weaving Q auto Qs, because though the damage comes out a little bit quicker. And then whenever our level 6 combo, prioritizing E, looks like this.
I love what I do.
Wait out any spells, and then back. And then you can ignite wherever you feel necessary, and then just keep weaving those autos as much as you can.
I got a path full of trouble and nothing but...
Our all-in combo where we're not prioritizing E looks like this, and for the sake of this one, I will have my passive when I go in. So I Q, R, Q, and then you can use your E at any point in there to catch them if they run away. So something that I find myself doing pretty often, more so in late game, not necessarily in lane, but if you need to gain a little extra distance in your engage, or your laner's just playing super passive and you think this is the only way to get on top of them, just like Shen E or Gragas E, you can flash at the end of your R range to extend it. So if you see here, if I R at this dummy, I don't reach. But now, if I R flash, you'll see that I do reach. I'll even back up a little bit. And there we see that micro stun does go off. So I'll wait for my cooldowns to reset real quick. And you're just flashing right at the very end of that.
I am my own master.
To make sure that you get that last little distance, and it'll catch people off guard a lot of times. So, and then you can queue up your buffer, your Knight, and your Gunblade when you do that as well, and that's a good way to get a lot of burst damage off either in lane or like in a side lane if you're trying to catch down AD carries. So one more time. And that's what a full combo looks like with that R flash. One other thing you can do with that specific trick is if you're going against somebody like a Morgana or Lux that has these straight line skill shot CCs, is you can R off to the side and then flash on top of them, and you'll notice when I show it that micro stun will go off. But if you're R'ing, they see that arm animation go off, they're going to throw the Q, in the case of Lux and Morgana, in a straight line where they expect you to come from. But you're not going to be going in that straight line, but you'll still be able to get on top of them. So that looks like this.
No one tells me.
You'll see there that the micro stun did in fact go off. The next trick I'm going to show, you won't use this every game, and honestly you won't even use it often, but when you're going against a champion with some straight line CC, like Lux, like Morgana, or even Yasuo with his Tornado, if you can manage to hit an E on your opponent, when you reactivate it, you can cancel that flight with R1, R2, and Flash. So if you hit your E, you're going to want to react as they can, so that you're sure that they're going to throw out their CC ability, like Ari's Charm, for example. And then once you see their animation start, you're either going to R or flash to the side, and then start your combo from there. You can also use this if you get in E, let's say on a tank or on the support, and they walk back towards their AD carry because they want to protect them. You can R or flash out of that to try to get to the AD carry without having to be right in the middle of everything. So that looks like this.
Everyone dies.
I want to give them time. E, and then we R to the side, and then we can start our combo. And I'll show a couple clips of that right now because I do think it is useful and it's something to keep in your tool bag.
You can never have too many.
Something else that you can do, I don't use this very often because I find other combos just to be a little easier to pull off and definitely less risky, is to E on to whatever target you're going to attack or that you want to one-shot. You're going to E, R1 away to reposition, and then right as your R2 is about to come up, you're going to E back, and then while you're mid-air, you're going to Q, R2, and Gunblade, and that will one-shot almost any AD carry once you have 2 or 3 items. That looks like this. And that'll get a lot of damage off in a very short amount of time. Keep in mind that new Akali really can't one-shot unless you're like 12-1 at 17 minutes. Your damage doesn't come out all that quickly, but this combo will allow you to get as close to one-shot as you can if you're not insanely fed. The next combo that I'm going to show I've actually never used in-game because I don't think it's all that useful, and I think it's really just to look flashy. The only time I can ever imagine using it is if you're camping in a bush on top of a pink ward or something like that and you see the enemy AD carry come in. But what we're going to do here is we're going to E and then immediately R before the animation finishes, and you'll see that it cancels the E knockback, and it'll put us almost right outside of range of our passive, so that we can auto Gunblade Q and then R2 because it'll be up pretty soon. So that looks like this. Another trick that I use quite a bit in lane. A lot of people complain about Akali stealth in the towers, right? That targets can't target her, or rather that she can drop target aggro. And diving under turret like that is incredibly risky. And something that I find myself doing a lot more often is engaging in the middle of the lane, and then let's say they flash, or they use their movement spell, or they do both, right? So we start the fight in the middle of the lane, and somehow they end up under their turret, whether it be right at the edge or a little further deep in. And I'll show a couple clips of this after I demonstrate it in practice tool because it's a lot easier to see with context. But instead of trying to dive, I engage in the middle of the lane, and then I prep my shroud with my E so that I can do the last little bit of damage that I need to do under tower, and then immediately push E and fly back. So using your imagination a little bit here, and I'll show a couple clips afterwards so it'll make a little bit more sense. But
Wars are messy.
so I'm going to engage. I do my combo. Oh no, they use their movement spell, so I'm going to R, do all the damage that I can, and then fly back out. And you'll see that that makes a little bit more sense in real game clips.
Kama or kunai? Depends how I'm feeling.
And then the last thing I want to talk about is that you do have kill pressure at level 2, and level 3, and level 4, like I mentioned. If you have Electrocute up and you've brought Ignite, don't be afraid to get a Q on somebody and then flash, passive auto attack, Q Ignite, because that'll proc Electrocute. and it will do, I don't know, probably a fourth of an enemy's HP, assuming you're not flying into something like a Galio or a Lysandra. And it'll catch a lot of people off by surprise because you do a crazy amount of damage in a super short amount of time, and they probably think that they're safe and that they can flash, but if you flash on top of them, and you A-click so you make sure that that passive auto attack goes off, it's a really easy solo kill. So, they're low HP, and we're gonna flash auto deal damage. Show that one more time once my Shroud comes back. So we're gonna get that Q, and then flash auto Q ignite. We get all that damage out. So thank you for watching my guide. All of the music that you heard in the background can be found on my SoundCloud. Shameless plug, I'm sorry. https://www.soundcloud.com/pkfire with a Y. And if you're interested in any more comment, please let me know in the comments below. And thank you for watching.